Do some old oldies and I'm going to do maybe some new ones. And I'm going to do one oldie. Pedazo por pedazo te desgarran, pelándote capas de tu ser, mintiendo sobre quién eres, hablando por tus sueños. En el escuador de sus ojos tú eres un ilegal, vistiéndote en una chaqueta de mentiras, hecho de acero a la medida, tú eres su retrato perfecto. Quítatelo, haz tu propio manto, desafía a los enderrocadores, mira, ven la muerte en su mirada, di que no les rendirás, di que no les creerás cuando te nombren de nuevo, di que no aceptarás sus reglas, sus colores, sus morales depravados. Aquí tienes un camino, aquí puedes cantar la victoria, aquí no eres una víctima perpetua, un rostro sombrío en la tormenta. Manos, mente están cavando un santuario. Usa estas armas contra ellos, usa tus talentos dados, no son de piedra. Before I do, let me just read a little bit about from the book It Calls You Back, about how important poetry was, and especially Chicago. The practice of poetry has two branches, the physical and the spiritual. Poetry is one of the spiritual healing arts. It helped to tune what Sir Francis Bacon called the curious harp of man's body. Poetry became my thing. I gravitated towards words, releasing their power, their possibilities, their textures and tones, their music and flavors. Of course, my first poetic lines were badly written. But a poet isn't born with poetry. He or she is born with the latent love of language that with reading skill and contact with other writers compels words to be twisted and bent with the rhythms and sense that make up a poem. In Chicago, all this came together. This rough-hewn industrial town bled poets.
Yeah.
Greetings to everybody. He knows I'm always reading to different people. So let me read you the poem I wrote for Chicago, and it's called A Hungry Song in the Shadows. When I think about Chicago's first settlers, migrants, job seekers, who sought haven or the hope of one, I think about a place fierce with wails, noises and all decibels, tongues from all reaches, and how this is not just a city, but a dream state of brick and chain link fences, where poetry clatters along with the L train on iron rails, where temples hold every belief and street corners every color. A city that nourishes all palates, holds all thoughts, and still contains the seed of this vital idea. In accord with nature, all is possible. This is a city that's steam-built, that muscle and sweat solidified into a church of organized labor, where a swampy onion field in a few generations could become home to the brightest and most jagged skyline, where fossil fuels are holy water and smokestacks and silos remain as soot-stained monuments to industry. From horse-drawn plows to the foulest stockyards, the roar of combustion engines, the rattle of metal-tipped tools, and smoke-curling big rigs streaming along cluttered expressways and upturned streets. I came to the city on my knees, laden with heartaches, bitter in the shadows, seeking 1,000 voices that spoke in one voice, which still no longer reigned, but where open mics and poetry slams kept us still in our verses, lamenting a life of work and a time of no work, and where the inventive and inspiring could finally burst through the cement viaducts and snowy terrains. Now, we are artists or we die. From the fractured neighborhoods where bootblacks and noose-hawking boys once held sway, to this daunting gentrified metropolis of ghosts, toxic waste, and countless poor ripped from their housing projects, 3 flat greystones or trash-lined bungalows. Yet nothing can truly uproot the uprooted. The energy for what Chicago can become is buried inside people and callings, passions, and technologies, but only if this manufactured garden aligns with real nature, no longer limited, finite, fixed on scarcity, but abundant, cooperative, regenerative, like a song across the lakeshore, blooming with lights, music, dance, banners, and words into a cornucopia of potentials, possibilities, even the impossibilities. It's an imagination for the intrinsic beauty and bounty and all things Chicago, clean, just, free. It's the city we've wept and bled to see. For being open. And for all people of color, for creating the poetry slams, for bringing poetry back from the streets back out. And it helped me when I came back to make the dream of Tia Chuchas happen, because in many ways I have a little bit of the Chicago spirit in Tia Chuchas over there. So, stories, trying to erase our history, and we do it con qué? With our art. We do it with our heart. We do it with our talents. We do it with our gifts.
We love you. Thank you so much for your work, for your words, for your blessings. Lord Alvarez, Luis Rodriguez, we're blessed to have them here. Thank you very much.